Greetings, Earthbound Travelers. Welcome to today's episode of Cast Guidance. I'm Tyr the DM, world's okayest DM, and with me as always, the unruly one, Loch Clark. Hi, Loch.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you so much for joining today. Before we get started, we do have some announcements and such to make. First off, we are for mature audiences only. If you're not part of the mature audience qualification, get the fuck out.
Oh, bye. No, wait, I'm not audience. Never mind.
Yeah, you're stuck here. If I'm here, you're here. Damn it. Secondly, we are in no way, shape, form affiliated with any TTRPG creators, publicists, any of that. We're just two individuals coming together to discuss tabletop role-playing and give our questionable opinions.
Highly suspect.
It's totally sus. How you doing today, Locke?
I'm caffeinated.
Caffeinated is good.
That's about where I'm at. How are you?
I'm here.
You're here, and that's the tracks.
Yep. So, for those of you that know, and for those of you that don't know, you're about to find out. It was 1 year ago today that I lost my wife suddenly. So I want to, dedicate this episode to her, Karen. Yeah. Surrey says, not enough caffeine for this day. Preach, brother, preach.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, I am, I've got an anniversary like this coming up in July. Not looking forward to it. So yeah, no, I totally get, I get where you're at, objectively. Subjectively, I'll be there in 5 months.
Yeah,
6 months,
not a
whatever.
good place to be.
Yeah, so I feel you, brother. But hey, let's talk some rules minutia and shit, right?
Yeah.
I suppose I should do the thing first, and then we
do
can
the thing.
So I talked to you today about our partners in this endeavor. Level Up Dice. Find purveyors of luxury dice for all your sexy dice needs. And man. So if you missed out on them around Christmas time, and I'm guessing that they were obviously a Christmas thing. They brought them back into the store. You got another shot at the apple. You can take another bite out of that tree. Their Tree Mate set. These are really cute. They're anodized aluminum. They're green. It's a set of 3d6s. Each one slightly bigger than the last, and you stack them together, and they form a little Christmas tree to display in your desk. They've done snowmen in the past. They've done some other cool things like that. Just a little stackable set of dice. So if you're a dice nerd, if you're a dice goblin, you should check these out. They're a great little Christmas decoration for your desk, and you can roll them for damage to kill things. And they're very reasonably priced. So you should go check those out. They're in the new releases section because they've just been brought back into the store. To do that, you're going to go through our portal, because going through our portal helps us out, lets them know that you came from us, makes us look good for the company, and you want us to look good for the company. And that portal is https://bit.ly/L, Will of the Dice, all one word. Go and check those out, and check out all the other great things they've got in stock at Level Up Dice. You won't be disappointed. Everybody needs more dice in their life. Also, we would like to thank Patrick Taylor for writing the theme song to our show here. Thanks, Pants.
Thanks, Pants. And have one more announcement, guys. There's only 2 episodes of Cast Guidance left on this channel.
There you go. Yep.
Had to give the dramatic pause. I had to make people go, what the fuck? We are moving to our own Twitch channel. It's part of the growth of our brand. And you can find us over at twitch.tv/Will of the Dice, one word. Go over there now and follow. That way you'll get alerted when we go live. We're moving Cast Guidance, Dark Queen and Shadowed Rose, and Scions of Oblivion over there. We're going to be doing...
Yeah, and I just want to say, we still love Level Up Dice. They've been great to us. They are making changes to the channel. This is not. There's no animosity here in us moving. It is not. It is not an us versus them thing. Please don't be mad at Level Up.
Yeah.
They are making changes at the channel level.
Well, we don't know if they're making changes or not yet. There's rumors that there might be some changes, but the thing of it is that for us to grow our brand, we need to make this move. But things with Level Up Dice, we still love them. They still love us.
We're still going to be partnered with them. We're just not going to be on their channel.
Right.
And it's not, and so please don't hate on them. We love them, and we love this channel, and we love all the people associated with it that we have worked with. So please don't take this out on them in any way. Don't be mad at them on our behalf, because we're not mad at them. Just just things are changing, and you can follow us over to our new home at Will of the Dice on Twitch. And subscribe over there when we get to the point where we can have subscribers. So, the more of you that come watch us over there, the sooner we'll get subscribers. And then you get subscribers will get some benefits and stuff. It'll be really cool. We're going to expand. We're going to do more things. We're going to do things more often.
One of the things we're going to be doing is we're going to be streaming some video games, things like About or Among Us, stuff like that. A lot of cool shit coming. So,
I might run something on the channel. Ren might run something on the channel. We'll see. I mean, we've got more options on our own space. So there'll be some changes, and change is scary and weird sometimes, but and Cast Guidance will be the first show on our new channel. We will kick things off that Friday afternoon. And, Tyr's work schedule might change some, and so the when Cast Guidance happens might also shift slightly. We don't know yet. It'll probably still be on Fridays, but what time it'll be might move a little bit. Just be aware things might shift. So now rules stuff. Let's talk rules minutia.
Alrighty.
That's what we really got here for.
Yep. Today we're talking about magic items, magic weapons.
Yes, but before we get to that, there's some news from Wizards of the Coast this week that I wanna hit.
Okay.
There's a new book coming out, and I've seen this book getting some flack, on the internets. The book's not even. I don't think the book's even out yet. The book is it out? Did it officially came out?
You can get it if you buy a gift set that has Tasha's and something else.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to address that, and we're going to address the other. Yeah, it's not out separately yet. However, we'll get there. Here's the thing. One of the main flacks against this, besides the way it is available on the market right now, is that it's not new content. I mean, some of it's new content, but one of the big things they touted about, it's the book, by the way, for those who don't know, is Mordenkainen's Multiverse of Monsters, or Monsters of the Multiverse. I don't remember which way that goes. They tout that it's got 33 races. But a lot of the flack that I see coming that book's way is that they just republished all the D&D races. They added a couple, they added a few, but that they just sort of compiled everything together, and they're touting it as 33 races in one book. They're not new races. However, actually, and before I get to the meat of the racist thing, because that's a bit of a conversation. You have to understand the way D&D Beyond works for buying things. Okay, the book's only available in a bundle right now. But if you already own the other books in that bundle, the cost of those books is discounted off the bundle, so you're just buying the single book. Because D&D Beyond's shop is modular. You can go into any book that they sell on that shop and that you're going to buy digitally. And you can just buy All I need out of this book is this one subclass. You can buy that subclass for $2. When you buy the subclass for $2, if you then at some point decide down the line, I want to buy the whole book, when you buy the book, you get a $2 discount on the book because you already spent $2 on material from that book. The same goes with their bundles. Every time you buy a book that's in the bundle, the price of that bundle is reduced by the amount you've already spent into that bundle. So if you've already bought, I know it comes with Tasha's and I'm not sure what else, but because I haven't actually gone to look. But if you already own Tasha's and you own the other books that come in that bundle, you're just paying for the one book when you buy the bundle. So skin off your teeth.
The thing of it is, though, is right now on D&D Beyond, it's only available for pre-order, and you don't get it till May. If you want it, you have to buy the bundle, hard copy in your LGS. So
okay, well, but when that's like saying, you can't get it right now, and you'll get it eventually. It will come out when it comes out in May. When it officially drops, it will be in the store, and you'll be able to buy it digitally, just like any of the other books. You're bitching about a thing that isn't available yet because the only way it's available is in this special pre-order way. Well, you can't even get your hands on it yet. Chill out. But anyway, the racist thing. What they've done, and I just watched an interview with the devs on this. I watched Todd Kaepernick, the guy who used to run the social media stuff for D&D Beyond.
Yeah,
he was kind of in charge of Todd Kendrick. That's it. I watched an interview Todd Kendrick did on his personal YouTube channel with one of the devs responsible for this particular book, and they revamped races entirely. And it's brilliant what they've done. Absolutely brilliant. It's what they've slowly been making tweaks and changes to races to do. Well, now they've done it fully, and they put it all together in one book, and then they put it out. And that's, they got rid of stats for races.
Good.
Now your stats for your race are no longer based on your race in D&D 5e. Period. They're as of this book's publication, they are making it a function of when you generate ability scores. You just get to add racial bonuses to your ability scores in the ability scores section. It is no longer a product of your race. They are no longer saying that any race is... So the thing they wanted to get away from are two things. They wanted to get away from any race being pigeonholed into, well, this race are this thing, because no race is a monolith. And they wanted to get away from anything cultural that defined the race, because so many people make their characters, and rightly so, they make their characters, well, I'm a member of this race, but I wasn't raised in that race. I was raised over here. But the information that you get in the race is about the culture of the race, not about the race itself. Right? So they still include some cultural information in the race's description, but the abilities and things are ancestral abilities. They are abilities built into the race and not a function of the culture anymore.
Right.
So and they've done some cool stuff. Like they changed the trance for elves. Elven trances are going to work differently now when you take a long rest, and I love it. So they said to themselves, what do we know about this race? What is the thing that we've told in stories about this race for additions? Well, anytime you read any story material set in a D&D world, official D&D material, when elves go into their trance in any of the story material, they are able to sort of commune with their ancestry. That's what their trance does for them. They enter a trance state, and they are linked with all of the elves who ever were. Right? So they decided to make that part of the race in the game. They've made the mechanics reflect the storytelling that they've been doing with that race for years. So now when an elf enters their trance for their 4 hours of rest during a long rest, they get to change a proficiency if they want to. They can access the proficiencies of all of the elves that came before them, going back to Corell and Laurenthian, and draw a new proficiency, and they can change it. So they can change it every time they take a long rest. They can go, and it can be a weapon proficiency, it can be a skill proficiency, it can be a tool proficiency. So if they're in a dungeon and they find a place to take a long rest, you see chat? You see our private chat?
No, I'm looking. I hear it tinging.
Yeah. Oh, am I? I think I have my sound up on my laptop, so you're probably hearing me. There you go. You saw it now, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Sorry, Zaraj is listening to Sunday's episode right now for the first time and is 20 minutes in, and just called Tyr a bastard in our personal chat, because Zaraj doesn't know what happened yet. John hasn't heard the episode. This is his first time hearing it. So yeah, there we go. Right, I anticipate our chat is gonna blow up a bit more as we go. Anyway, so it's a cool thing. They've done a cool thing by allowing letting the stories they've already told with these races dictate some of the mechanics. They've made changes to kobolds. They made changes to hobgoblins. They took away a lot of the cultural stuff. They've made it and I haven't seen exactly what they've done to kobolds, but I heard them talk about and allude to it, that they've made it so you can either lean into the dragonness of the kobold or not, which I think Patrick is going to love for Wesley, because he plays the more dog-like kobolds.
Yes.
From earlier editions than the more dragon-like kobolds. So they've made the races so that people can. You no longer do you have to look at for purposes of an efficient build. If you want to play a rogue, you don't have to go, well, those characters that class doesn't make a good rogue because they don't get the right stat bonus.
Right.
Now you get to pair the race. I mean, they've had this mechanic since Tasha's. You could go into the Origins Manager and choose not to use the racial stats the way they were. You could choose to alter them, but now they're saying no. Every member of the race is their own person, their own unique person, and they get their stats. Their bonuses where you want them, so that because they can be good at any job. It's like saying that women can be CEOs in the fantasy world. That's what they've just done. It's huge, and it's important.
Huge. So we got two questions already.
Yes, I'm sure we do. I'm sorry, I've just been foaming at the mouth about this because I'm really excited by it. It's what I've wanted to see Wizards of the Coast do. I'm so proud of Wizards of the Coast for this.
Stod says, why would you want that? So here's the thing, Stod. For so long, you've had to limit yourself to what race you wanted to play if you wanted to efficiently build out certain classes. If you wanted to be a ranger, you needed to be an elf or elf descendant, things of that nature. Well, they've gotten rid of all that bullshit. And now your race, to answer your question, Black Dragon, your race is basically flavor. Now, races will have some perks to them, but they're flavorful now instead of the whole pigeonhole, as Locke had said, into the, I'm going to play a cleric, so I better play a dwarf because that'll give me the good stats. So now you can, where we've been making backstories and figuring out how to make it happen on our own, Well, now Wizards of the Coast is like, hey, we're doing this thing. And that is fucking awesome.
Yeah, let's take the big Forgotten Realms example, right? Right. I mean, Dritzdord, the most iconic character in D&D.
Yes.
Right. On paper, he's an all right build. He's not a perfect build, but he's an all right build. Elves, Drow, Drow being an elf race, not a bad ranger. But he's an outlier to his culture. But a lot of what was written in the manuals was about Drow culture, and to play a character akin to Dritz, you throw half of what's in the book out the window to start. Now you don't have to do that. Now what's in the book is about the race. And they will include some cultural notes, but the cultures can vary from world to world. Drow in my world don't look the same as they do in Forgotten Realms. I mean, they appearance-wise, yes, but their culture doesn't look the same. So it's very much up to it gives more storytelling power to the players and the DMs for what they want to build and what they want their worlds to look like, because they don't have to re-engineer the system every time they build something.
Right.
There are now 33 plus character races, PC races that you can play, and all of them can be tailored to whatever class you want to play them. Look, here's the thing. The plus and minus bonuses. Those don't matter once you get past a certain level for your race. They don't. Because you have a cap in 5e. You can't get your score without legendary magical items. And we can talk about those later, because this is the magic items episode. I know we've talked for half an hour about not magic items, so we'll get there. I promise. Your score is capped at 20. There's an upper limit for every race. At the end of the day, after a campaign, the halfling can be every bit as strong as the Goliath. They can both have a 20 strength at the end. Now, it will take the halfling will have to invest more in the old system. We'll have to invest more ASI points along the way to get to his 20, or her 20, to match the Goliath in strength. The Goliath might get there quicker, but at the end, they're both going to be as strong as one another. So the racial bonus only matters at low levels,
right,
for starting your character. So now they're saying, you know what? There are really strong halflings. There are really stout halflings. There are really nimble halflings, and there are really charismatic halflings. There are really smart halflings. There are very wise halflings. It's, and that applies to all the races. There are members of the races who are exemplars of every stat, because people are people. Every race is as diverse as humans.
And this is
That's
something
what they've said.
And this is something we can definitely delve deeper into when the book comes out and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to do a deeper dive, just spend an episode going through what the new racial properties are and what changes they've made. That'd be great. I'm all for that, because I think it's really cool.
I have pre-ordered it.
Of course you have.
Of course I did.
I have not, but I look forward to it.
I was probably one of the first people to pre-order when I heard what was going on, and then I waited until it officially went on pre-order on D&D Beyond. It was like 2:00 in the morning, and I pre-ordered it then. So
that's awesome.
One more thing I want to talk about right quick before we get into the magic item things is talking about our channel. For those of you that are moderators here, I have added you as moderators on our channel that we'll be moving to. So you are welcome to come and hang out and watch the goodness and still have the power that you have. And so, yeah.
Because we love our moderators.
We do. We have the best moderators. We have the best chat. We have the best fans, bar none, period. people, I know the bigger shows probably think they have the best. They're wrong. We do. So, period.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Let's talk some magic items. All right. So, where do we want to start with magic items? Do we want to start with the rules thing that we were discussing during our offline campaign, and see where that goes, or do we want to just start with the basics?
Let's just start with the basics, and then we'll get into that rules one, because I'm still milling over that one.
That way, yeah, it's a tough one. It's one of those. It's a magic items that makes the rules as written work weird, just because language can be difficult sometimes. So magic items. There are magic items come in different rarities, which I guess is the best place to start. You have your common magic items, most of which are in the wondrous item category. Do we need to go over what a wondrous item is for the audience?
I think we do. I think that we need to break down each one of the categories. So wondrous items, and again, these are in the common category. These are things that, in my opinion, just make life better. Things like bags of holding, and I have a list, but all the things on my list that I want to talk about today are higher level. I went and said, let's find the best, beastliest, savagest, most stupidest magic items, and let's talk about them today.
Bag of holding, just for the record, is uncommon, not common. But yes. It is a green item. Common items are D&D Beyond color codes things. So you can have wondrous items, which are gray items. They don't appear to be any different than non-magical items in your inventory, but they have a magic property to them. They do one thing, and a lot of them are very cosmetic, but they can be cool. One of my favorite common magic items is the Cloak of Billowing.
Yes.
It is literally a cloak. You can while wearing this cloak, you can use your bonus action to make it flap in the wind dramatically behind you so you look cool. That's what it does.
All my rangers have them.
Yeah, what was the hold on, I don't remember what it's called. Maybe you do. The Dar's bird. Do you remember Dar's bird?
Oh, the raven.
The raven. He had it was a little statue. I don't remember what it's called. The official name for the magic item. Hold on, I'm pulling up Dar's character sheet now. So it was a little statue, and when I threw it down on the ground, it turned into a raven that I could communicate with and would do tasks for me. Figure of wondrous power,
yes.
Silver Raven, which is also an uncommon item, but still a cool, like, it was useful. It was almost like a familiar, but not as cool as a familiar. Very limited in use. If it only had a certain amount of time, it could be out of its statue form. And when it turned back into the statue, if it was too far away from you, you lost it because you weren't there to collect and pick the statue back up. So you had to be careful with your commands and stuff. Yeah, and then Jack had a fun common magic item, a wondrous item, which was he had a pipe of smoke monsters, I think is the name of it. Hold on, let me pull up Jack. which it's as a I think as a bonus action. While smoking the pipe, he could do the Gandalf trick. Yeah, the pipe of smoke monsters. While smoking this pipe, you can use an action. It was a full action to exhale a puff of smoke that takes the form of a single creature, such as a dragon, a flump, or a froghemoth. The form must be small enough to fit in a 1x1 cube, and loses its shape after a few seconds, becoming an ordinary puff of smoke. It's Gandalf smoking his pipe and blowing cool smoke monsters. That's what that item is. It does nothing else for you. It's almost never going to be mechanically useful in the game. It's just a fun character touch.
And sometimes that's what you need.
Right. There's also things like the gleaming armors. Are all wondrous items, or fall into the common category. Which just they shine like they've never been dirty in their life. Like they're brand new off the factory floor, mirror finish polish. And then there's the cast-off armors, which have a mechanical advantage. It's a minor one. It's one that almost never comes up, but it's useful if you don't, if that's what you can afford and you don't care about having cool magical other effects on your armor. It lets you don it and take it off faster.
Yeah,
it's armor that you can just go, no, okay, I'm done wearing my armor. You as far as I'm concerned, you do the I think that's great for an artificer because you can do the Tony Stark. Like the back of my armor opens and I step out of it and it remains standing there until I want to step back into it and keep going.
That would be cool.
Yeah. See, so like these are things that give flavor to your characters. Okay, so then. And then we move on to the uncommon magic items, which are items that have a lot of utility. Most uncommon magic items aren't attunements. Some of them are protection items, things that add to your armor class, stuff like that are always going to be attunement items. But boots of spider climbing are some of your uncommon. Cloaks of protection, rings of protection are actually a rare item. All of your adamantine and mithril armors are considered uncommon. Bag of holding is considered uncommon. I want to say, and I'm not sure I understand why this is, but I want to say that Hayward's Handy Haversack is a rare item, whereas a standard bag of holding is an uncommon item.
If I remember correctly, it's because the haversack has more room.
The haversack, maybe in total area, has more room, but the haversack has limitations in that it has multiple pockets, so you can separate things from each other. It's like having a backpack with a lot of pockets, and the overall storage space of the backpack is the same as a backpack that just has one pocket. But it's divided up, which means it's easier, quote unquote, to grab things out of the thing, and to not like, for example, all right, it would be useful in a game like yours where you've introduced gem-eating insects. And so if I had all of my gems in one pocket of the haversack, and the eggs that were the gem-eating insects in the other pocket in a different pocket of the haversack, they could not interact with each other because they're in different extra-dimensional spaces. So I see that as a bonus, but like because of the way bags of holding work, I know there used to be a mechanic in like 2nd edition, maybe 3rd edition, where you could access things more easily. You could ready something quicker from a haversack. than you could from a bag of holding. But now it's just you put your hand in the bag and you think about the thing you want, and it comes to your hand. So I don't see.
Yeah. And that's something that a lot of people don't realize is that a bag of holding has a finite amount of space.
Yes.
I know I've been keeping track, and yours full.
No, because I'm missing tents out of it. I've got whole tents worth of space in there now.
I was talking about your dwarf.
Oh, the dwarf? Is the dwarf's...
With all the books and everything? Yes.
Okay, he does have a lot of books in there. I'll give you that.
You took all the books that you could find from the Keep Gregorian. That's a lot of damn books.
At some point, I will, I will have to, like... if we ever find a moment to, like, sit down and have him go through those books, that'd be great, but... Sorry, I'm scrolling through the, like, unadulterated list of uncommon magic items here on D&D Beyond, and I just noticed that in uncommon are laser rifles.
Pew pew.
They are not rare. They are just uncommon. I just wanted to throw that out there.
My favorite.
Anyway, go ahead.
My favorite magic item is very rare. It's the Sword of Sharpness.
Yes.
Dude, this is my favorite. Any character I make from now on that I can take rare and very rare items, I am taking a Sword of Sharpness on a 20. Check this out, Pat, chat. On a natural 20, you do your crit damage plus 14 points of damage. Plus, say it with me now, plus, you roll the d20 again, and if you hit another nat 20, you take off a limb. Think about that. That is just absolutely savage.
It's the Vorpal of maiming, is what that is. It's basically a Vorpal blade, but it doesn't take the head; it takes the limb.
Exactly.
Which I think is more interesting. Then again, I'm a Star Wars nerd, so like chopping off people's arms is a huge part of my religion. I say to a guy named Tyr, if you don't know the story of Tyr and Fenris, it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite Norse sagas. So you should look that up.
You should definitely look it up.
Anyway, I have a great axe of sharpness on Karak, and I very much enjoy it. I have yet to roll 2 20s in a row while playing Karak, while swinging the axe. I did. I think I did. I don't remember if I did it in a one shot or if I did it in a DQSR game, but I did manage to roll 2 nat 20s back to back, and was cursing because why couldn't I do that while swinging the great axe on the other character? Okay, so I want to diverge for a minute. We've been going through. We've gotten through rare, and we just mentioned very rare magic items. So for the record, if you use D&D Beyond, rare are blue, very rare are purple, and then above that are legendary items, which are sort of an orangish yellow color. What is your opinion? Like, at what point, in a campaign, where do you feel the escalation points are, level wise, for when you ratchet it, when you go, okay, they can now, now I can drop some loot that is rare or very rare. I think rare can come in more easily. Once you're 5th level, 1 or 2 rare items showing up in the game is not going to break anything. Hell, even a very rare item isn't going to break the game. Although, we did see that near to happen in our off-camera game that Ren runs, because she let my Dwarven Ranger find a Dwarven Thrower, an axe, hammer that magically returns when I throw it at things, and when I throw it at things, it does an extra D8 damage. So like it nearly broke the game for a minute because it was deadly. It made her have to ratchet encounters up higher than she was anticipating at the time.
I think that for me, like between 5th and 7th, I'll start dropping some rare items. The very rare items come in around 8 to 10, and then it's around level 15 when you start seeing like legendary.
That sounds about right to me. Yeah, legendaries. You have to be careful with legendaries. Some of them are very uber powered. Normally, I would not bring up the. We try not to bring up other streamers, other D&D podcasts on channel, but they have released them in books that are official Wizards of the Coast material, so we can talk about them. I want to get your opinion on something Matt Mercer introduced into D&D, which are rare, legendary magical items called the Vestiges of Divergence. Are you familiar with these?
I am not.
Okay, so these are. I think they're one of the coolest magic item ideas I've ever come across. And they are just absolutely brilliant, in my opinion. In Taldore, Matt Mercer's world that he has created, and they published several of the vestiges in the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, and one of the other adventure books that Wizards of the Coast put out that are set in Taldore, making it an official D&D world. These items are left over from the war between the gods, when there were certain gods that rose up as sort of apostate to the other gods, and they the whole war was fought over someone ascending to godhood and claiming to be a god, and some gods choosing to back that individual as belonging, and some said no, and a war broke out, and the gods fought, and it ravaged part of the land, and it left scars, and a lot of the history of his world is wrapped up in that conflict that happened millennia ago. And from that, the gods, through their proxies, through their champions that were fighting on the ground during that war, had imbued some items with a piece of themselves, basically. So you get... So these items, these vestiges... The Divergence was the war. So the Vestiges are these leftover items from the War of Divergence. And they've got a piece of the god, basically, inside them. And they have levels. When you look them up in D&D Beyond, you'll see the item. Like if you look up an item by name, it will have. There'll be 3 versions of it. There is. I'm trying to remember what they're called. Hold on. I know where one. I know I can find one real quick. But yeah, so it's like there's the normal version of the item, then there's the awakened version of the item, and the exalted version of the item. I believe are the 3. There might be a name for the for the base level. Dormant. It's called Dormant. There it is. So there's a dormant version of the item, there's an awakened version of the item, and there's the exalted version of the item. And it is up to the DM to determine what does it, what makes the item awaken or become exalted. And it's usually through use in play, through role play with the item, through using the item for its intended purpose. Sometimes it's just through like need in a moment. Things aren't going your way. It's end of the second act, basically. Everything is going wrong. Your party's dying. You need something to pull that win out, and you've got this ancient weapon in your hand that you've been wielding for a little bit, and it awakens to your need. It's a great storytelling element, in my opinion. And every time it moves up until it becomes exalted, which is its highest level, it gains power. I believe one of the vestiges, if you've seen the new Vox Machina cartoon, is Craven's Edge.
Haven't seen the latest 3 yet, so.
Oh, I haven't either. It's early in my day. But in the third episode that we saw last week, Silas Briarwood has a black sword that he's fighting Grog with, right, that is drinking Grog's blood as they fight. And as the sword gains in power, it grows. It gets bigger.
Right.
That's the sword awakening in Silas's hand, is what's happening there. That's the way they visually decided to tell that the item was gaining power by being used for its purpose, because it's a.
Now, see, I've been doing things like this since the 90s when I created the Blades of Three that were forged, and each had a special purpose. That's the way those blades work if you have them as a player. You don't start out with this ultimate nuclear weapon in your hand. It starts out in a sleeping or dormant phase. And as you use it, it begins to awake. And as you interact with it, it begins to grow power, depending on how you use it and what you're using it for. And, so this is something that I am familiar with. And I think it's a great, great tool. It allows opportunities and creates opportunities for more role playing. It allows a character to not have to constantly switch out weapons or items. It lessens the struggle for the newest loot, as if a character has one of these items and knows they have one of these items, then they realize that it's going to get more powerful. I think it's a great thing to use. I think the thing to be cautious with, though, is how powerful you make it in its final stage, and when you allow that final stage. Because a player like with Foebiter, the blade that tempted both parties.
Right.
Its final stage, it is savage. It does 3d20 damage in its final stage. And, it is just an absolute beast. So, but it takes a lot to get it there. And even if a player was to realize I've got Foebiter and do the research and then find the history and be like, okay, I know that this is the things that need to be done, I'm not going to let them unlock it at 5th level.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That is a game balance mechanic. That is campaign breaking. In my opinion, you shouldn't and I think that's one of the good things about like the idea of the Vestiges of Divergence, is that you have legendary items that aren't so powerful that you can introduce into your game early on and have them sort of grow with the characters. Like, at 5th level, if you find a Vestige of Divergence, it's gonna be cool. But depending on which god it was that made that vestige, you might be outclassed by the weapon.
Right.
Or the item. Like, it might try to change you as a player, depending. Now, obviously, if it's from one of the good gods, one of the light gods, one of the if it was from a chaos god, like it could have effects. It opens up lots of storytelling opportunities, and I think it's always cool. One of the things I've always disliked in D&D is that you outgrow your gear. I mean, as a person who has worn heavy armor and fought in medieval recreationist combat, you and I both know that when you're new at fighting, it takes you a while to sort of fine tune your gear, your kit, to be comfortable in it, to like wearing it, to not dread putting it on every time.
Yes.
And then, but then once you do, like, you are loath to make changes.
Yes.
But then every once in a while you see a shiny new thing and you're like, oh, but I want that. Or I want this look instead of that look. And then you've already spent a ton of money into your kit, but you go and you spend more and you add a new piece or whatever. You make a change, and sometimes you like that change, and sometimes you realize that you didn't like the change. You want to go back to the old stuff. Now imagine doing that with magic. Imagine having finding this cool magic item that is that gives you a cool effect and helps you out, but then it doesn't quite fit your style. It's not exactly what you wanted, or you get powerful enough that the effect no longer really matters, but you're comfortable in it. But then you find a new thing, and I realize that the comfort thing isn't going to matter so much at a tabletop setting, but like there's that little voice in the back of my brain, that realism voice that's like, I don't want to change my kit. I don't want to change. I like this stuff, Like, I remember when I went from wearing Lamellar to wearing Chain. I switched from Lamellar to Chainmail, and I did it because it's more correct for my persona for period. It looks better on the field, blah blah blah. But I really liked my Lamellar. It's good protection. It worked for me. I still wear it in war. I just cover it now. But so that's the thing. You gotta So I like items that grow with you. I also like that sometimes DMs, and I know that you've done this in the past for us during the quarantine game for sure, have let us find merchants that deal in magic weapons that can do enchantment things, and they given them the ability to move the enchantment from one thing to another.
Yeah.
So that you could bring in your armor and have them move. Like, we sell +1 armor here. Well, my armor's not +1, but I want +1 armor. Well, I can move the enchantment off of this armor onto your armor. It'll take a day or so, whatever. And so you can have your armor, but two of my characters have been Iron Sage soldiers now, and we're very proud of their Iron Sage plate armor because it was a mark of station, and didn't want to, and then you wind up in the Minotaur Kingdom and you see armor that's more effective in combat than yours, and you want to buy it, but you don't want to give up that symbol. So allowing the players to get their items enchanted, or to move an enchantment from one item to another item.
Yep. And I have thoughts on that, but I'm going to have to interrupt. We're going to need to take a break because I'm floating.
Yes, please. Sorry, I'm a chatty Cathy today. I get like that when I'm a little manic because I haven't slept.
So We'll be back in about 10 minutes, guys. Just hang out, and then I will throw in my thoughts on some of this. And we'll be back. And we are back. Thanks so much for hanging out while we took our breaks, got our beverages, did our bio, and all that. Today we are talking about magic items, magic weapons. We're talking about race restructure. We're talking about everything. We are casting tangents, as we are known to do. Some of the things that I wanted to reply to, you was talking about that the item or weapon might try to take you over. That's the case with the Blades of Three. You have to tame them in order to use them once they're awakened. And that, depending on who you are, what you are, that can be impossible. You know. Excuse me.
Hashtag see pants almost dying trying to pick up that sword.
Yes. Yes, indeed. And then you brought up that in my games I allow for items to be enchanted and everything. The reason why I do that, what I thought about is that if I was someone that was in the trade, my profession was magic weapons and magic items, and someone came to me and was like, hey, I'll pay you the proper amount to enchant what I already own versus buying something that's already on the shelf, I don't see why there'd be a difference. I'm still making my money, you know.
Yeah. So, to use a real world example, just, putting it out there. I work for a jewelry company at Ren Fair called the Crafty Celt. They make these bracelets and this one and some of the other pieces that I wear very often. The torque that I wear when I play Karak, which is right here, actually. The owner's name is Danny. Danny does an amazing job. He's a very skilled artisan. His stuff would be considered masterwork, at least in D&D. If one of our pieces breaks or something happens to it, or it just doesn't fit right anymore or whatever, and someone brings it back to us, we take it back, no questions asked. They bring us the pieces if it broke. Breaking them is rare. I've only ever seen... I saw one came back broken. Actually, I've seen two come back broken. One of them, it was a simple matter that a weld failed, where the head was put on to the braid. The weld failed eventually. They brought me the pieces back. I gave them another one looked just like it. The other one was we had someone who had their bracelet on while they were working a bandsaw, and as they were making an intricate curve cut, they realized that the blade made contact with their bracelet, and they said, well, I'm going to go real slow and I'm going to finish this cut. And what happens to the bracelet happens to the bracelet. I'm just going to make sure that the blade doesn't actually touch skin. And they did, and they cut almost entirely through their bracelet. And they came back and they were like, hey, I need to buy a new bracelet. I cut through mine with a bandsaw by accident. And I'm like, well, okay, were you wearing it at the time when that happened? I needed to know the story, but I'm like, don't buy a new bracelet. Are you going to be back here again, like next week or whatever? And they were like, yeah, we've already got tickets to come back to the fair again. I'm like, bring me the pieces. If you have the pieces, bring me the pieces. I'll give you another one. Why? Because we'll take those pieces and we'll melt them down and we'll reuse the metal and make another product. So we're not losing anything. Same goes for a smith that works with magic. They've made this suit of plate, or they have this suit of plate armor, for example, that's enchanted. You have a suit of plate armor. You pay for the enchantment on it, and they just take the enchantment off of a piece they already have and move it over to your piece. You pay them for that. Well, they still have a suit of plate armor sitting there that they can now, for the same cost it cost them to enchant it in the first place, they can re-enchant, and they're not losing anything except for the time of enchantment, because that's all they gave you was the enchantment. Yes, you can come up here. Say hi, Zoe. So yeah, that's that's where we're at. Yes.
Well, and using jewelers for example, if you need a ring resized, you don't go buy a new ring. You take it to a jeweler and tell them, "Hey, this needs to be resized." So if you need armor enchanted, you go to an enchanter and say, "Hey, I need my armor enchanted."
Yes.
Chat is blowing up over Pupper.
Yes. Now, with that said, magic items don't need to be resized ever. And in the real world, there are limitations to resizing. Metal only stretches so far. You can't, you can only resize something so much before it, before you stretch the metal too far, it might break. And if you need it sized down, well, that is a much more involved process that, with them having to, cut it, rebend it, and then put it back together again. So, and make it look seamless like it did originally. So, but in magical enchantments, when you enchant something, it will then size itself to fit whoever puts it on, because that's the way magic items work in D&D. So, while there are some fantasy differences, yeah, they're not losing anything but a little bit of time, and you're paying them for their time, because that's what you're paying artists for when you buy anything.
Yep,
is the time and materials they put into it. So, I would say that in my world, a merchant, yes. A merchant who enchants items or deals in enchanted items, would they rather sell you the full suit of armor, or would they rather just put the time into moving that enchantment over and then redoing the enchantment on the original item? The original item they're already familiar with. They already know it'll hold the enchantment. They know what they're doing. They've done it before. And so it's less work for them. They don't have to worry about getting another suit of armor to enchant.
Yep. So, completely off topic. Baby shark, do 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 do. Baby shark, do do do.
No, stop that. What? Why?
You'd have to read the chat. So there you go.
I feel like I missed something in the chat. I see a lot about puppies. I don't know why there's a shark song going on. I just don't want it stuck in my head for the rest of the day.
So what had happened is when I smoked my vape, it reminded Black Dragon of a video game he's playing, and it reminded him of zombies. Well, I'm loopy as fuck because I'm exhausted, and so I started singing in chat, I'm in your head, zombie. And someone said that that's a better earworm than Baby Shark, so I had the Baby Shark.
Oh, all right, that's fair, I suppose. Hey, I'm going to give a shout out real quick, just because I can, because it's our program and I get to do what I want. If I can get to it without knocking everything on my desk over. The song, the earworm I've had stuck in my head for a couple weeks now is an 80s hair metal song by a band called Wigwam called Taste It, which is the theme song to the HBO Max show Peacemaker, which is by James Gunn and features the character from the latest Suicide Squad movie played by John Cena. A buddy of mine, on his birthday, you can't see it, chat, but I have a very extensive, up here on top of my desk, action figure collection. And my collection inspired my friend to start collecting action figures. He has slowly been building his collection, and every time he gets a new piece, he sends me a picture of it in his new collection. And I had made a post on social media about how great the opening sequence to that TV show is, and he was like, "Yes, and I'm going to go buy myself a Peacemaker figure for my collection. Do you want one for yours?" And so he bought me a $30 action figure.
Nice.
To add to my collection. So here's my, if the camera's going to pick that up real well. So here's my Peacemaker action figure. It's a great sculpt. It's a great looking figure. Looks just like John Cena, which is now adorning my desk. And I'm very, very pleased. And just wanted to say thank you, Shane, for buying me a present for your birthday. That was very sweet of you, and I really appreciate it. That was me casting tangent right there. Sorry, but yeah, that's the earworm that's in my head. Throw your dog the invisible bone. That's all I have. So anyway, back to magic items.
Well, no, we're going off topic again. As
okay,
Holo the Wise Wolf has asked if anyone from the cast would like a handmade dice bag, and I feel that handmade gifts are always cool. And that everyone would appreciate one. And I will email you my shipping information, and you can ship them to me, and I will distribute them to the cast.
That is excellent. Yes, I have. You and I have been doing this for a long time, so I have a collection of dice bags. And I'll rotate them occasionally. These days, I because I have lots of level up dice now, which are very high end dice. I tend to keep my dice mostly in hard containers for travel. I have this very lovely travel dice box / rolling tower that Ustad made for me with our logo emblazoned on it. And it's really cool. It's got a little thing on the inside that you put together, and it makes a little spiral staircase for the dice to roll on. And there's a set of dice in here that he made me, some of which I use on stream. There's the D20 from the set, which I use for... I'm the kind of dice... I consider myself a dice dwarf, not a dice dragon or a dice goblin. I like lots of dice. But I like to curate my dice collection. I want them all to sort of, be on theme. And when I roll, especially on stream, I have my dice sort of segregated into, these are the ones I roll for attacks. This is the one I roll for saving throws. This is what I roll for skill checks. I roll different dice for different things. Just so that they all kind of get used and I'm not just focusing on one die. And then sometimes, like when I'm running a campaign, I will pick a set of dice, and that is what I roll for everything in that campaign, because as DM, I like to just say I'm just going to use this set, and that's what I'm going to use tonight. But that's just me. So dice bags are cool, man. The one I've used for years, which is usually right here, but apparently the dog has slid it over just out of my reach, so I'm not going to go get it. But I have a leather one with fur that I got from a shop that I used to work at the Ren Fair. That's rather large, but these days it mostly sits over there with a bunch of dice that I don't currently use in it. But yeah, so the dice bags are cool. Love dice bags.
And Holo the Wise Wolf said that they would like to personalize it. The two preferred colors I have put out to the cast to give me their two favorite colors. Once everyone does that, I will compile an email and send it to you. And thank you for your generosity. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah,
that is very awesome. I will love it and cherish it, and we'll keep some of my dice in it. My dice are in different dice bags depending on the dice, and so some of my stream dice will go into that. Very cool. So, does anybody have any questions? I'm about out of steam. So, does anybody have any questions? If not, we're going to get out of here a little early today because I'm just out of spoons.
That is totally fair, my friend. Totally fair. While we're waiting for that, can we briefly touch on that one weird rule that we mentioned at the beginning?
If we touch on that rule, we're going to be here for 30 minutes. So we will table that for next cast guidance.
Okay. Here we'll give. Can I give the audience the cliff notes on it. That way they can have it in their head, and maybe they'll have opinions on it the next time when we come back and talk about it.
Okay.
So there's an item called the Efficient Quiver. Now, the Efficient Quiver says that you can store not only ammunition but also weapons, javelins, spears, your bow, things like that in the quiver for ease of access. And it means that readying that item does not take your interaction. Or it implies that. It doesn't say anything about stowing the weapon. It says it treats everything the way it treats ammunition, basically. Ammunition has a specific tag in D&D that says that it's part of your attack action. Is when you fire a bow, drawing the arrow is not an object interaction. Drawing the arrow is a part of the attack. It is, and with crossbows, there are limits to how many times you can reload a crossbow in a 6-second round. So if you have more extra attacks than the capacity of the bow speed to load, then you can only use so many attacks. But there's no rule for stowing ammunition. So if I say I draw an arrow and I knock an arrow and I'm ready to fire, and then something happens in combat and I want to put that arrow away, there's no mechanic for that. That is not considered a thing that ever happens, because drawing the arrow, no matter what I've said at the table, drawing the arrow is considered a part of the attack. So for flavor, I can say I draw the arrow, but no. So the question is putting the bow back into the Efficient Quiver an interaction? Does it qualify as an interaction under the rules? Because the way the magic item is worded would seem to indicate that it's not, because you're using this magic item. So that was the question that brought up magic items in the first place. And we will table that and discuss it another time, but you can all formulate your thoughts on that. And in the meantime, we'll take any questions on other things that you might have.
Doesn't look like any questions are coming.
Doesn't.
So we're going to go ahead and get out of here then. Like I said, I'm just out of spoons for the day, given what today is, and then the fact that I haven't slept. So let's remind people who we are, where they can find us, and let's get the hell out of here.
Ustad wants to know where he can find an Efficient Quiver. Find an enchanter. That's the answer. Right. So, hi gamers. I'm still Locke Clark. I have been your co-host on this, and you can find me tomorrow night on DQSR, playing Bjarnor, who is going through some shit and is going to have some shit to process tomorrow. And then on Sunday night, you can find me playing Karak, who's angry at things and stuff and people, and is out for blood right now. And when I'm not there, you can find me on the Book of Faces and the Twitter Patients at Locke Unruly. That's Locke with an H.
And I'm Tyr the DM. I'm the world's okayest DM. And I'm the reason that Bayanor is going through some shit and Karak is angry. So you can find me on Twitter at Tyr_the_DM. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm sorry that this is a short session. Remember, next time, or someone doesn't know, don't cast aspersions, cast guidance. And until next time, live a life to make yourself proud. We love you guys.